Most people think they're stuck because they don't earn enough. That's not the trap. The real trap is that their money is just comfortable enough to keep them quiet, but never free. And the most dangerous part? Almost no one notices it happening until years are gone. Not because something went wrong, but because nothing ever did. If you're new here, this channel is for adults who look functional on the outside, but feel a quiet pressure underneath, especially when money demands attention. Not panic. Not collapse. Just that low-grade tension that never fully turns off. And if you've been following this series, you already know something important. Avoidance isn't laziness. It's learned. Waiting isn't neutral. It's conditioned. And decisions don't fail because you're weak, they fail because they're being made from the wrong place. Today, we're not talking about fear. We're talking about comfort. Because comfort is where most capable adults get stuck, without realizing they've entered a trap. The middle class isn't defined by income. It's defined by just enough. Just enough to pay the bills. Just enough to avoid panic. Just enough to say, I'm okay. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because when nothing is breaking, nothing demands change. You're not desperate. You're not failing. You're not in crisis. So your nervous system relaxes. Not into peace, into maintenance mode. And maintenance feels responsible. But maintenance mode isn't stability. It's stagnation with better lighting. You're not expanding. You're preserving. Not building leverage, but protecting equilibrium. And equilibrium feels safe until something shifts. Here's the problem. Your entire life becomes calibrated around nothing going wrong. Which means any deviation feels like a threat. That's not safety. That's fragility disguised as stability. And here's the part most people miss, a life that works is the hardest life to leave. Because there's no crisis to point to. No collapse to justify change. No obvious villain. Just a quiet sense that something is off, and the constant pressure to be grateful instead of honest. That's the psychological core of the middle-class trap. Comfort slowly replaces leverage. Not in one big decision, but in hundreds of small, reasonable ones. You choose predictability over flexibility. Stability over optionality. Peace today over momentum tomorrow. You don't say, I'm giving up leverage. You say, this makes sense right now. And it does. That's why it works. Most people think payments are just financial. They're not. They're psychological. Rent that keeps you calm. Car payments that signal normalcy. Subscriptions that maintain identity. Expenses that buy quiet. These are comfort payments. They don't destroy you. They sedate you. They smooth life just enough that you stop asking harder questions. Not because you don't care. But because caring would disturb the peace you're paying for. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Not in theory. Not in spreadsheets. In a normal week. You wake up tired, but functional. You go to work. You pay what's due. You make the responsible choices. Nothing goes wrong. And because nothing goes wrong, nothing gets questioned. You tell yourself you'll think about bigger moves later. After this month. After this project. After things calm down. But weeks turn into routines. Routines turn into years. And at no point do you feel like you chose this. You just kept maintaining it. That's the comfort trap. Not a mistake you make, but a life that slowly fills every available inch until there's no space left to move. And here's the part no one warns you about. When you finally notice it, the feeling isn't panic. It's grief. Not loud grief. Not dramatic grief. Quiet grief. The grief of realizing you did everything right, and still ended up smaller than you expected. You don't feel trapped. You feel busy. Responsible. Tired, but functioning. That's why middle-class stress doesn't look like panic. It looks like constant mental load. Shallow relief. Delayed decisions. Quiet resentment. I'll deal with it later. Nothing explodes. But nothing moves. The real cost isn't money. It's time. Years spent maintaining a life instead of expanding one. Years where leverage shrinks while comfort stays flat. And because nothing dramatic happens, you don't mark the loss. There's no moment. Until one day you look up and realize, I've been busy, but not building. This isn't about hustle. It isn't about greed. It isn't about wanting more. It's about having room to decide. Because without margin, every choice feels heavy. And comfort becomes the default, not because it's best, but because it's least threatening. The lie isn't that comfort is bad. The lie is that comfort is neutral. It isn't. Comfort is a position. And positions have consequences. If your comfort requires everything to keep working, you're not safe. You're fragile, quietly. Most people only notice the trap when something breaks. A job disappears. A cost spikes. Health intervenes. Or time runs out. Not because they were careless. But because comfort delayed awareness. The real question isn't, how do I escape the middle class? It's this, how much comfort am I trading for how much leverage, without realizing it? That question changes posture. Because now you're not chasing more. You're reclaiming choice. This isn't about tearing your life down. It's about seeing the system you're inside. Because once you can see the middle-class comfort trap clearly, you stop blaming yourself for feeling stuck. And you start asking better questions. Starting tomorrow, we're going to talk about how people rebuild leverage without blowing up their lives, and why most advice fails at this exact stage. Not tactics yet. Not budgets. But the internal shifts that make real movement possible again. This is where comfort stops being the goal. And capacity takes its place. Stay with the series. This is where things actually start to move.